Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight has been on and off throughout the day. What a beautiful day. This is Starlight's temperature. This is her kind of weather right here for Starlight. Today, I don't even think it got up to what they said, 77, but that is Starlight's temperature, or even warmer. But anyway, I love you all. I hope you're getting out in nature. So out, somewhere, at an ocean, a hiking trail, bike trail, a park, outside your house, in the backyard, front yard, somewhere. So anyway, I love you all, and if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say, hi, Starlight, and thank you, all of you who leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and that was a beautiful butterfly. So wow, that's the second time I've seen a yellow and black butterfly. What does it mean when you see a yellow and black butterfly? And I do have to say this really quick. This is really super cool. 2 nights ago, a hummingbird visited Starlight, like as close as my phone is right here, like about 3 feet away, not 3 feet, about 2 feet away. A hummingbird was face to face to Starlight, and it was like, I heard it. It's like, oh, what is that? And the hummingbird was probably thinking the same thing. Ah, what is that? But I couldn't figure out why that hummingbird was so freaking close. It just zoomed right in, right where Starlight was sitting. And the funny thing is I was going to do a guided meditation about healing, and then this hummingbird was face to face with Starlight. Why was this hummingbird that close? I Googled it. I was like, what is up? That was so close. I was like, we were face to face. I was burning lavender and rosemary, dried up rosemary and lavender. And I looked up online, does hummingbird like rosemary, and does hummingbird love, lavender? Yes! So that's why that hummingbird was like, it thought I was a flower, and it smelled the aroma in the air. It smelled the lavender and rosemary and thought I was, like, hey, where is that? So I just wanted to share that beautiful, my camera, I couldn't even take a picture. I was like, what is that noise? So anyway, I love you all, and you could share my videos with your family or friends. A butterfly, ooh, the butterfly. I don't have my butterfly clothes, but Starlight will be a butterfly anyway. And a hummingbird, yes, why not a hummingbird? They're so beautiful. Starlight loves I love all the animals, even bugs. So yes, you could share my videos with the butterfly and hummingbird, and you could check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. I love you all, and I just want to say a huge thank you for all of you who put up with me. Yeah, you do. Some of you put up with me. But thank you. That's what family is. We're not always going to agree to shit. We're not always going to get along and play nice. There's times that there's going to be miscommunication, misunderstandings, and all that. So thank you. For those of you that are going to watch this video, is, forgive me for my flaws. Forgive me for my imperfections. I'm only here, on this YouTube channel. Do you think I knew how to do this when I started? Absolutely not. I had no clue how to edit videos, talk on videos, describe anything on videos. No, I had to learn all on my own with a little bit of help out there from my mentor. So this is not an easy thing to do, and if you are a YouTube creator, or if you're doing anything when you're talking, communicating with people, you know what I'm talking about. So please forgive me of my imperfections, and I will forgive you for yours. It's, that is what family is for. Even friends out there, is that we're gonna overlook those things, because we know the people that I'm talking about are the people that are working, and they're striving to work, they're striving to go forward, they're striving to work on themselves. Not that we're any of us are perfect, but we're working at it. That is what we got to get past, is not to judge each other, not to get upset. Just realize, what? This is a part of my YouTube channel is about be the change that you want to see in the world. Does that mean that Starlight arrived? Absolutely not. Starlight has not arrived. So you might see me a certain way when I started out, and I've grown. So, this is how this all works. I want to be the change that I want to see in the world, and it takes time. It takes time for me to let go of old programs, of old limiting belief systems and all that stuff. And this is not just about me, this is about you too. So don't be hard on yourself as far as thinking that you got to have it all put together. No. Stop thinking like that. That's an old program. We've been programmed to believe that we got to be perfect. I was in a church like that. Believe me, they, wanted me to be perfect. I tried. Believe me, Starlight did. I tried so hard. I wasn't, I had my body covered up. I wasn't wearing makeup. I wasn't even allowed in that church to have my hair down, really. They didn't really want me to have my hair down. I was lucky to even wear earrings, fingernail polish. You're not allowed to do that, Starlight. Why not? Tattoos, oh no. This church was judging the people all the time. So, that is what Starlight is learning on this journey here, is that I have to not, I have to learn not to judge people. We all are in the same, we all are family. We all are in our own journey in life here. We're all learning different things. So that is why it's so important. I just seen a lady today. She had a shirt. It said, "Be curious, but not judging." And I'm like, oh, I like that shirt. So I am a very curious lady. I am always observing people. I'm always studying them. Always, learning more. Like, why do they do this? Why do they behave that way? Why this? What are they doing? Why are they doing that? Why, like Starlight is always, I've done this my whole life. Sorry, I'm just going to, there we go. That way you can see me, because this is the time of the night. Right here is when the sun is going to do its thing, or the earth, the earth is shifting. So, yes. So, on this journey here, you know what? It's okay that you don't got it all figured out. A little secret, nobody has it all figured out. There's people that make beautiful videos out there. They have a YouTube channel, and they're still trying. That's how God is. There's no one that has it all figured out. They might have bits and pieces and this and that, to help people. We need people like that. And the more that we grow and evolve in this 3D matrix, which, like I said in the other video, there's people that are going to be in a third dimensional reality, and other people are in a higher frequency. We're not all on the same in the same dimension, even though we're in Earth. So the more you work on yourself, you can get up to higher dimensions, and that takes a lot of work. It takes patience. So yes, there is such a thing. You got to Google this. Yes, there's other dimensions. You don't have to stay in the third dimension. So, but it does take a lot of work. So, in life here is that it takes a lot of work to be that change that you want to see in the world. And so don't pay attention to what other people, where they think that you should be. Focus on yourself. Don't worry about outward people. Don't worry about, you might have a friend out there, not my friend, but you might have a friend out there that, they could be a good influence in your life, or they could be a negative force in your life, source, either way. So you gotta make up your mind the kind of people that you want in your life. Are they helping you to be that change that you want to see in the world, or become your greatest version? No? Well, that is where you gotta decide. Are they a keeper? Just like fishing, that is what men will always ask other fishermen or fisherwomen. Starlight used to fish. I will not, I am never gonna probably ever fish again, because I don't eat the animals anymore. Not even fish. No, Starlight does not eat fish. And so they will ask, hey, is it a keeper? And then they'll, they got to figure out, is it worth the keep, to bring home? And, because there are some fish out there, I can't remember, but there's some funky fish out there. There's a fish that's like round, and some of you might know the name of this fish. It's flat, very flat, and on the one side of this fish, if I can figure out what the name of this fish, it's funky looking. Starlight caught one a long time ago. It's got an eye on the one side, and it's flat, but I'll tell you what, that is a weird thing to catch when you're, is that a keeper? Starlight would have actually really, if I realized the work that it took just to get the little bit of fish out of that, I would have threw it back in there. That was a lot of work it wasn't really worth, to take that fish. So anyway, besides that is with people in your life, you're going to have to decide, should you be company with those people? Are they helping you out? Are they helping you to grow? What kind of talks do they, what kind of communications do they have? And, are they inspiring you? I have met a lot of beautiful people on this journey, and I have to say, I have met people where what you really need to have is when they give to you energy, positive energy, and you give them back. And just like a relationship, and this is really what I'm supposed to be talking about in relationships is how do you know when it's not working, like a husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend? Now there's some of you that might be on an old program, a control system, where like certain churches believe this, that when you get married, that's it, you're stuck with that person. You can't ever you can't divorce that person. You're stuck with that person. But these days a lot of people are free from that. They don't follow that law or that rule anymore. And so how to know is the person that you're married to, or even, sorry, this is the part of it, like I said, I'm just shifting here, see if this works. So Starlight's gonna, by the time I get done, I'm gonna be turning all the way around. So yes, is how do you know when it's the end of a relationship, a husband and wife, boyfriend or girlfriend? When you know that when you're giving all the time, your energy, your money, your like you're always giving. It could be your inspiration, that you're inspiring them all the time. And what do they give you back? Do they give you back anything? It's like you're working together, you're communicating together, and do you have anything in common anymore? There's a lot of times people are in a rush to get in relationships, but they didn't take enough time to get to know each other. And that's why I make videos about friends. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm not going to go back off on that friend topic thing, but that's how you really get to know if that person is going to be, if you can't be friends with that person, then forget about having a relationship with that person. But for years and years, I've been guilty, believe me, I've been guilty many times of going with a guy, not getting enough to know him enough. And that's why Starlight doesn't do that anymore. I'm like, because I realize there's a lot of fake people out there. There's a lot of people out there wearing a mask that they will claim, hey, I'm everything you're looking for. I'm doing everything, that you're doing. And, but they might not be doing everything that you're doing. It just might be, hey, we have something in common. And you could say, oh, okay, and then when you get with them, you find out, what, they weren't even into any of that stuff. So and that's why it's so important to really get to know these people before you say, hey, yeah, let's start a relationship. It takes time to make a friendship. But when do you know that that relationship is no longer working? And there's times that I have to tell you, hopefully you're growing in your life. And this is how a lot of relationships don't work out anymore, is because you want to keep on working on yourself and bettering yourself, where they are happy with where they are and they don't want to grow. They don't want to make any adjustments or changes in their life. And so that is a big indicator that, you know what, you're outgrowing them. They want to still do those things that you're letting go of, like smoking and drinking and, you know, like going out with friends and going out to the bar all the time. You've already done that. You've already been there. You gave up on that stuff. You don't want to go there. But they're in that, you know. Hang on, Starlight's going to shift a little bit. I'm getting a little chilly in the shade here. So, yeah, so you're growing where they're not, and, you know, that you are letting go of things you might have done when you got together. You might have been, yeah, this is a lot of fun. But as time goes on, you're like, you know, the universe is doing something in your life, and you realize, I don't want to do that anymore. I choose to, you know, I don't want to go to the bar scene anymore. I don't want to hang out with that crowd anymore. And I actually, you know what, I want to find out who I am. I want to work on myself. I want to become my greatest version, and that's great. So if you are willing to, and you want to become your greatest version or be the change that you want to see in the world, but they don't want to, that is a good indicator that your relationship is not going to work out, because you're growing and they don't want to. They don't, you know, you can't force anybody to do what you're doing. You know, it is, you know, it's okay to let those people go, because they're just, you know, you're being tested in that kind of relationship, whether you want to stay with them. And you're like, well, they're not, you know, we don't have, I know, you don't need, it's like we don't have anything in common. You know, we were doing that together and everything was great, but now I've outgrown all that stuff. I'm maturing more. I want more in my life. I want to, you know, try other things. I want to do something more positive. I don't want to waste my time and energy with those people anymore. And, you know, now I want to actually find out who I am. I want to go hiking more. I want to get out in nature. I want to do yoga. But that person, you know what? They don't even want to exercise. They don't even want to take a walk. They just want to, you know, stay at the house and watch TV all day, or be on the computer all the day long. And, you know, how can I, you know, I was there. It's okay. That's why I don't believe in the whole thing of people not being able to divorce, because people do grow, people do change. So you can't let other people's, hey, if they believe that you got to stay, you know, legally married the rest of it, let them live that, you know, but don't let other people, you know, what their rules and what they believe be on you. You got to figure out what it is, what you agree to, and what you're willing to change and what you're willing to let go of. If you know, like if you're married, are you going to live your whole life miserable because that person doesn't want to grow, doesn't want to change? Maybe you're in with a relationship where you don't want to go to church anymore, but they do, you know, and you're like, you know, maybe you desire, I don't want to go to church. I know people right now, the man is not being real with his girlfriend. She wants to go to church. He only goes because she wants him to. He's not wholeheartedly in it, so he's just doing it to please her. Is that the right thing to do when he doesn't want to go there? He doesn't, you know, he doesn't even believe in a God, but he likes her because she's got a lot of good qualities about her. She's a, you know, I'm not going to say she's a Christian, but because I really don't know, but she wants to go to church and she wants to go to worship, but he thinks it's all a joke. Now, what do you think about a relationship like that? Should he be with her? Hey, if, you know, let it be. You know, eventually, after a while, you know, like, and that's why you got to be careful, is you really should have, like, the same, you know, like Starlight would not be interested in going with a guy that goes to church. Why? Starlight graduated. I am good with about going to church. But you might love to go to church. So that would be the thing, is if you love to go to church, then that is what you're going to want to find, is somebody that loves to go to church like you do. And then what kind of church, what kind of Bible? So these are things that actually causes people to break up, is that because they change, they realize, you know what, I've gone to the church, I don't like what I see. This is Starlight personally talking, you know, not that every church is like this, is that, you know what, I see the how people are being hypocrites. I see all these things, and it goes against every grain in my body, that I can't go there and fake it for my loved one here. They don't see it, you know, but I see it clear as can be, but they don't see it yet. They're not, you know, they've been programmed to keep on going to that church, and that's okay. Let them go to church. You don't want, you know, we all have a free will. So these are other reasons. If your belief system is off, you know, like, is it really other things, is like with relationships with people that want a baby and other people don't want to have a baby, you know, and people do change. Sometimes they go with somebody and they might not want to have a baby, and the other person might want a baby. But, you know, that is up to you what you decide to do. You know, if you want a baby and you don't want to wait 10 years later on, that might be a good reason why you might say, you know what, you don't want to have a baby. I don't want to force you having a baby. And maybe this is really just not really, maybe this relationship is really not. And that's why you got to get to know people ahead of time. Find out ahead of time, hey, do you want to have kids? You know, if they say, no, I don't want, you know, listen to them. That might be a great, maybe they're not ready to settle down and have kids. Find that out. You know, don't find out, you know, after you get married to them and you've been with them for a few years and like, you don't want to have kids. You know, I was thinking about, after, you know, being together for so long, is to, I want a family. That you should have known before you got with that person. So that is why it's so important to find out those important things out there. Is, you know, those are really important. Even if you want to get married or not. Do you want to get married or don't you want to get married? You know, a lot of things can change. You know, some people will get married to people even if they don't really want to. Sorry about this, Starlights. It's that time of the night here. So other things is in relationships is that it's all you. You've been communicating with the person. There's something off. You know it. You feel it. They don't even want to have sex with you. They don't even want to snuggle with you in the bed. That's a huge, big ass red flag. Now there could be reasons. Hold on. There could be a lot of reasons why they don't want to have sex with you or get intimate with you. It could be health reasons, you know, medications or a health condition, you know, that could cause them not to feel like having sex with you. There's a whole lot of reasons. Or, you know, if one of you have been unfaithful. If you were the one unfaithful, that could be a huge indicator why they're having a heart. Definitely, that would be a, you know, because if you were unfaithful, then any time, you know, it's a thing that comes up in your head. Believe me, I've been there, done that. I don't have the t-shirt for that, but it's something like you're like, you know, especially when it happened not too long ago, where, you know, like you'll have flashes of, oh my, especially if you know the person that they went and cheated on you with. You're like, oh no, you know, like that person will pop up. All kinds of weird things can happen in your imagination where, you know, the intimacy is not there anymore. You know, they don't even want to snuggle with you. You know, you want to go and do something with them. They don't want to go and do that anymore. It just like things are faded away. And so if you're in that situation there, communication, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your differences is in a relationship, is to find out, are we wasting our time here? You know, like get some time alone with that person and say, you know, do you love me anymore? And if they say yes, okay, that's a good sign. They could still love you. You know, I say I love you. What kind of love is that, though? You know, what kind of love? They say they love you. They could love you like a sister or brother. The best question is say, are you in love with me anymore? You know, and it could have fizzled out. There's so many different reasons, you know. Everybody is made differently. as far as man and female, whether it's a guy or a girl. Sorry, it's this time. Starlight's going around, and I told you I'm going to go around in a circle here. So, you might not want to have sex with them, or they might not want to have sex with you, and there could be so many reasons. They might not be really happy in the bed scene with you, and that is why that's another good reason why, before you decide to have a relationship with somebody, is talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that maybe. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. You got to, when say you've been friends for a long time, or like, not a long time, but sorry, Starlight's all over here, is, if you're making friends with somebody and you want to, hey, let's be friends first before we, get into a serious relationship, great, that's great. But you got to talk about sex. You got to find out, do we, are we gonna, have the same thing in common there? Some of you might be shy. This is the time, you know what, if you're shy, you got to break that. Believe me, you got to break that, because you're going to live with that person if you plan on, being with that person. So you got to communicate and tell them what you like or what you don't like, or what you're willing to do or what you're not willing to do. That way it's like, oh, you know what? I don't know if we're going to really work out, because there's things that I love to do and you're really not into that kind of stuff. Because I've known people in my past that, Starlight's had a taste of it myself, is to go with somebody and then you find out that you're really into something in the bedroom scene and they're absolutely not. You're like, I thought every guy was into that, but you're not. Or like it could be a guy talking to a girl, and I thought all the women like this, but there's a lot of reasons why people, or men or women, might not like to do certain things in the bedroom scene. It could be abuse. It could be, that they, like a woman or a man. It doesn't just have to be a female, but it could have been like, rape or, incest. I'm serious. It could be a whole lot of shit that, where some females might not want to do certain things with you, because it will, anytime that she's tried, it triggers, and she needs to get healed. Or even guys, guys go through stuff where they could have had somebody touch them in the wrong way. So those are normal things. Those are things that, that is something that you have to be very sensitive about, and really patient with those people on that. You can't force your shit on anybody, when it comes to the bedroom scene. That's why it's so important, is to find out, do we have anything in common, because that is a big, huge part of a relationship. Not that it's going to be the whole thing in a relationship. Find out, hey, do you like handcuffs? Do you like oral sex? Do you like anal sex? Do you like, role playing? Find out. Yes, Starlight said all this. Yes, on YouTube. This is about being human. This is what we're, we shouldn't be shy or bashful about these things. It's a part of life. These are things that people, you do have sex, right? Well, you got to communicate with these people, find out what they are into. They, and you got to be, number one, starting that friendship relationship with these people. I'll tell you what, the one thing that you need to do with yourself and that person, very fucking important, yes, I did swear, is to be absolutely honest. Don't pretend. Don't wear a mask and say, yes, I'm everything. Yes, I like, yes, just to get with them. No. You got to be dead serious, dead honest with these people. Say, you know what? You might like them for certain reasons, and maybe you might want to say, I'm into everything you're into, just to be with them, because they might be beautiful outside, or maybe they got lots of money. But it's gonna catch up to you later on if you're not honest with them. So I've had that many times in my life where, and this happens with men and women, not just men do this, but women do the same thing, is when, men could be dishonest to the women and saying, yes, I do want to learn about spirituality. Yes, I do want to do yoga. Sometimes people will say whatever they can to get whatever they want, just like kids. You know, the same thing. Adults are kind of no difference between kids and adults, because, you know, there's all different kind of layers of maturity here when it comes to adults. You know, you can have an adult that's 50 something years old, the same maturity as like an 18-year-old man. So just because somebody is at a certain age, it has nothing to do with maturity. Because right now I know somebody very young and he's very mature, and I'm like, wow. So he definitely got me to learn that, you know, is not all older men or all older women are mature. So you got to really ask yourself, are they mature? Are they, you know, do we have anything in common in the bedroom scene? You know, if it's going to be an issue, you know, you're going like, you know what? I like you for a friend, but I really don't think this is going to work down the road. I don't really see that this is, you know, because I got more things that I desire. You know, I want to have kids. I like certain things behind the bedroom scene. I like going out hiking, but those things I love those things. I need those things. And the other thing is communication. You got to communicate with these people before you know, if you've been working on this person and communicating with them and saying something isn't working, you know, we got to communicate. And if they're not willing to communicate with you and not willing to work with you, that is a good indicator that you got to let that relationship go. You don't have to end it nasty. You can say, you know what, this is really not working. You know, I've been talking to you, communicating with you, but, you know, you're like way over there and I'm over here, and, you know, we're living two separate lives, you know, like we're on the same, you know, it first starts out on the same path, you know, and then he's over here going that way and she's, you know, so if you're not on the same path, going the same direction, like where Starlight, you know, is, they got to go in the same direction that you're going. If they want to go over that way, let them go that way. But you got to still be who you are and the things that you want to work on. Don't let other people say, hey, you know, I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to just distract you. I'm going to pull you away. You know, you're going to have to let those people go. If you decide to keep it going straight and they want to pull you that way, they want to pull you back into the things that you used to do, really, you're not going to grow. They're going to just keep pulling you down. That's where they're going. Let them go that direction. Don't let them pull you back where you came from. You want to grow, but they're not willing to grow with you. That is a good indicator. You've got to let them go. And there's so many other reasons, but Starlight is going to end this video today. Is I love you. And this is why it's so important that you just can't say, hey, we're friends. It takes time. You know, you got to, you know, take some time. Have a notebook. You know, get a big notebook, you know. Ask all these questions, but you don't have to ask all these questions in one day. You know, that would take for a lot, you know. The things that mean the most to you, write those all down. Ask, you know, when you want to, you know, especially if you're looking for a relationship, but the one that you're looking for is not outside. It's she or he is inside of you. When you do that inner work, when you work on yourself, when you find out more about you, you know, spend some time alone with yourself. Stop going with the crowd. That's how you're going to find out who you are. And that's how you're going to find out the one that you're meant to be with. If you don't know who you are, how are you going to find that right one for you? I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your friends, your family. I hear this crow. Oh, oh, oh. And a peacock. And also, not only you can share my videos, you can also check out my playlist, and you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So, are they working with you? Did they already go their separate ways? Do you have anything in common as far as behind the bedroom scene? You know, is things fading away? Maybe you could spice things up. Maybe that's what they need. You know, maybe it has nothing to do with any medical reasons or medication. Maybe they see that you're boring. Maybe that they, you know, I'll tell you, because that happens, is you know, when it comes to the bedroom scene, you can't keep on repeating the same thing over and over again. You know, Starlight would be, you know what, we you know, and if they're not willing to switch things up, it shouldn't be, you know, like a robot. You know, of course these days, you know, they're gonna create robots out there, you know. So, but you want people, you know, to be with somebody that is gonna communicate with you, and you got to discuss these things. You know, don't be embarrassed. Say, hey, something's not quite right in the bedroom scene. Why is it that you're not wanting to have sex with me? I need to know. You know, because if you're not having sex with that person, like a guy or a female, like, especially men or women, it could cause them to go on porn, or it could cause them to go out and find a person that will have sex with them, and that is not good, right? So anyway, I love you. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.